What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's going on, my peoples? It is. It is a Monday. It is a Monday. And it's still cold outside. That's one of the things that has been got me on the loop. Like, enough, man. I mean, this is about the time of the year where I literally go, enough. I've had enough. I've dealt with enough of this, right? I mean, think about it for a second. We have done this enough. I can't take it no more. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just saying me. I'm just saying me. You guys used to this weather. Y'all love this type of weather. The whole nine. I don't. I don't at all. Period, point blank. I'll be flat out honest with you. But what's going on, man? How's it? And women, sorry. Had to throw that in there. Let me just throw my 2 cents in about the right to speak your mind and say what you feel you want to say. And the right for somebody who don't believe in what you believe in, who signs your paychecks, I guess can boot you to the curb, right? That Chicago player that, everybody's all up in arms about, that he's saying what he's saying. And other people who was upset at him for saying what he's saying. And people saying that they got a right to say this or a right to say that, or they don't have a right to say this, or they don't have a right to say that. That type of stuff. But like I said before, I don't, and I was asked, what did I think about him and him saying, I got into a back and forth with somebody on X about, is it right for someone to ask certain questions of their teammates or their teammates and their wives and things of that sort? Now, I've asked many of questions when I'm dealing with, if I marry someone, then those two people, we have a 3-day kind of not training really, but just a meeting. We meet for 3 days for 2 hours a day, because I want to know who these people are. I want to know if it's important, how important it is for them to come together as a man and woman. Now, I may ask certain questions, period, point blank. Now, if this guy was running around the locker room asking personal questions, there had to have been a reason why. I see it this way: if he's asking those questions in a biblical sense, I can probably see where he is coming off. If he's teaching scripture, if he's talking Bible, if he's giving them examples to where they are or where they should be as a married couple, I can see that happening. I mean, I was, and I was one of the people who also jumped on, and be real, I also jumped on the Barack Obama wagon when Barack ran. And I jumped off that wagon when he came up with this thing saying that, he has evolved. He has evolved. And then once he evolved, that's when we got all the crap. And that there basically put the nail in the coffin with me and the Democratic Party. That's when I knew that I could no longer vote or be a Democrat. I couldn't do it. So that basically what put me out of the parties, any party, whether it's I left the Republican Party after no, I didn't really leave Republican Party after that because I did was it Romney who ran again? What anyway? I left the Republican Party because how the Tea Party here in the state of Minnesota showed their racism. So I couldn't hang with them anymore. Then I go over to the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party is over there showing that like they have evolved to the point that they don't even know what a woman is. So that's why, it cracks me up when people try to label me a Democrat. And I sit there and go, no, I'm not. But this guy, does he has a right to say what he says? He does. Does his employer has a right to boot him to the curb? They do. And then I saw him on the streets preaching. That's where all preachers should be. That's where I'm at. I preach better on the streets than I do from the pulpit. From the pulpit. I think I do because I'm more comfortable. I'm very, very comfortable preaching to the people in the streets than I am in the pulpit in the church. Because I know the people out there that in the church, they're all Christians and they ain't never made a mistake and they didn't, they're all this and a bag of chips and the whole nine. And, they come falling up in church and their whole life, even though everything's blowing up back here, they act like they can't talk about that. And, I'm blessed and I'm highly favored and all this here type of stuff coming into church when we all know that we all go through stuff. And that's the problem with the church that I see. That's why I love preaching to those people that's out in the streets, to the downtrodden, to the poor, to the needy, to the hungry. Because I can preach to them and I can talk to them as people versus being in a church and you get them snobby, up the nose people sitting in your church. I've never been a pulpit preacher, right? I've never been one of those preachers that will fight to get into the pulpit or fight to preach and all this here. I'll preach when my rotation come up. But the rest of the time, I'm more comfortable being in the streets. So I saw this young man out in the streets, preaching in the streets, and that's a good thing. That's good. Maybe that's where he should be. That's where he should take his message. That's where he's talented. That's where he needs to be out there touching people who can't be touched. Using his platform to be out there in the streets talking to people. And maybe that's where he needs to be. So I give him a hand of applause saying if that's where you feel you need to go do that. Go do that. That's where we're all as preachers, as God, as someone who believes in a book and God gives you the ability to read that book. We're not supposed to be up in these here billion-dollar churches and driving, fancy cars and wearing fancy suits and all of that. That's not where we're supposed to be. I could just never wrap my head around that. You got people who are poor, barely can pay their rent, and here they are sticking all of their money, and that's not what God set this thing up to be. So the pastor can live in $1 million houses and things of that sort. But anyway, good for him, awesome for him. That'll work. If that's where he needs to be, if God's going to bless him to get out there and to say his word and his name, And nobody should be upset, pissed off at this brother for being out there doing what he's doing. I'm just saying, people. I'm just saying. But anyway, hey, for the rest of the, I used to love, and I go back and I listen to some of the things that he say too and that's a good part about YouTube. Paul Harvey, you ever heard Paul Harvey? And if you're young enough, you probably ain't never heard of him. If you're old enough, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. For the rest of the story. So one of the things that I noticed as of just the other day, well, I've always seen this, but it got worse, I feel, the other day. What happened was there was a group of people that went to the same church that these knuckleheads, and I'll say it again, I wish they would have came. I wish they would have came in my church. It wouldn't have been. It would have been, boy. I'm just saying. You should never go into anybody's. You don't walk into anybody's church. Period. Point blank. So let's make sure we understand where I'm going with this here thing. You don't do it. You just do not open up a door and talking about protesting in any. You just don't do it. You don't. So that's why I say, lucky they didn't come in my church, because it wouldn't have been nice. It wouldn't have been nice. But if you're standing out on the sidewalk and you feel that you want to protest or you want to say something, for everybody today, even today, who was upset that this lady was not charged or they didn't keep her in jail, you're the very ones that scream and yell about the Constitution. Yeah, you are. Yes. That's why nobody answered my question. Not one person answered my question when I asked. No, two people did. But I asked a simple question: what did she do wrong? Because everybody all the right wing ran with this story that this lady was arrested. Now I'm sitting at home and I get an alert from King Demetrius, who I follow him on Facebook, and he's at the place at the church. So I'm watching it live. I'm watching all of this stuff live, right? And they're arresting this woman, and everybody's like, she didn't do anything. She didn't do anything. She didn't do anything. And then a couple of the commentators had said that somebody had called her over to the church. I didn't see this. I'm just telling you what was said. One of the people of the church called her over. She stepped foot on the property. And that is when they was like, oh, she's They called her over there. She went over there. Just my understanding. She didn't do anything. She wasn't screaming. She wasn't yelling. Only thing she did was put her foot on their property. And then they decided to start yelling and screaming at her. And she started yelling and screaming back. Security and all of this here. So she got into it with security. So she realized, oh, I can't win this. So she goes back to the other side where they were actually protesting. Police shows up. The church tells them something. The police goes over there and arrests this woman. Take her to jail. She spends the night in jail. I'm sitting here watching the live feed this morning when she gets out of jail. They released her. No charges. Because there was really nothing to charge her for. They charged her on feelings, like a lot of other things that was going on. But you're not going to get the rest of the story. That's what I've learned. That's what I've seen about certain news, so-called news organizations, Alpha News. You never get the rest of the story. They give you enough to piss you off. They didn't say what she was arrested, why they let her off. Didn't see that part. Didn't see the follow-up. Didn't see the part of, okay, she was arrested. Here is what happened. Let's do some investigating of why she was arrested. What happened to get her arrested? Why did the cops show up? Why did the cops put her in handcuffs? Why did the cops? We don't get that anymore. It's clickbait. What is going to piss everybody off? And that's exactly what happened today. That's exactly what happened yesterday. They put out a bunch of clickbait. This is why I keep telling you guys sometimes. Because half of you, you're not going out to see this stuff. You're not going out to understand what's going on. You're believing these right-wing influencers, for one, and these so-called right-wing news organizations that's just going to give you one side and not even tell you the truth. And then when they're wrong, they're not even going to say, you know what? Oops, my fault. Here is what happened. Let's back up a little bit. No. They give you a little bit more to say, oh, whoa. They did this and they did this. I mean, 2 phone calls yesterday. 2. And they're sitting there going, didn't happen that way, Rev. But how do you know? Because he was there doing it live. I was watching this live. Two phone calls. Problem with a lot of these here so-called journalists, problem with some of these so-called people who's giving you the information is they're not even around when it's going down. It's here. They get hearsay, and then they feed it to you, and then you believe it, and you run with it. And half of the stuff they're giving you is just not true. It's not. You're one of your favorite websites. Oh, she went nuts with it. She went nuts with it. But you're not going to get any follow-up. So they wheel this lady down there. They put her in jail. She spent the night down there. She goes in front of a judge today, and the judge looks at the evidence and goes, what are you even doing here? All charges. They tried to get her on 4 things. All charges are dropped. Even the judge said she shouldn't even been arrested. Why? Because the very Constitution that the right loves to use for everything had been violated. Her had been violated. Her right to be there to protest. No, we don't like it. I would hate for somebody to be on the side on a corner of my church protesting. I would hate it. But there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing. Fine, stay out there. All you want. That's cool. Just do not walk into my church. Don't come on the property. And I've got every right to defend the members, to help defend the members of my church. That's different. You want to walk around outside with a sign? You got every right to do that, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how much it feels weird, no matter if doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're there every single Sunday. As long as you stay on the sidewalk, as long as you don't impede people coming into the church, and as long as you don't come into the church, there's nothing that can be done. And then if you try to trick somebody into coming onto your property and then getting them arrested, Sue, my understanding is I don't know. I don't think she didn't say during her get up why they called her over. She just said that she went over. Somebody had asked her, or one of the security guards, she was saying, was asking a question. So she went over. So here she is thinking, okay, if I go over there, it's okay for me to get out of the street. So because she had to walk across the street, Sue. And in order to stay out of the street, which if the cop would have showed up, they would have got her for being standing in the street. So once she got over there, because cars go up and down the street, right? What would you do? You would stand on the curve, or you would stand on whatever easement that you think it is right there to get out of the street. That's what she did. I don't know if they had a conversation. I don't know what it was. Only thing they was saying was she goes over there, she talks to him, she comes back, the police shows up, they come up where the protesters was, didn't bother with nobody else that was there, grabbed her, put her in a get up. That much I know. And then they take her down, put her in jail. And today during the live feed that I watch of her getting out of jail and her saying, her attorney was saying all charges was dropped because there was nothing to hold her on. There was nothing to get her on. Unlike what some of the news organizations wanted you believe and to hear and to say, and they was all happy. But the way if you read, especially Alpha News, right? Read out, you would think that they were on property. You would think that they went into the church. The way Alpha News wrote that, yeah, they did. They did it for that reason because this is what I'm telling you all. This is what I want you to understand. They know that you're not going to do any research. They know this. You're going to get fuming mad and upset. But go to Alpha News, from yesterday, read how they wrote that little article. Because if you read it, your mindset is they did it again. These fools went into that church again. That's how they wrote it. They wrote it that way so you can be upset. They wrote it that way so you can be pissed. They didn't write it in a way that these people were across the street. No, they did not. They didn't say that. They didn't say the police went across the street to arrest this woman. They didn't say they was picketing and protesting across the street. You read what Alpha News put out there. It's as if these people went back into that church. And that's what they do. You know why? Because you believe it. Because you will not do any research on your own. You will not. Because if you would have done some research, some of the comments that I read under Alpha News little thing that they put on there wouldn't have been said. Somebody would have been said, hey, wait a second. I looked into it, and these people were across the street. Somebody would have said, hey, I looked into it, and nobody went into the church. Somebody would have looked into it and said, hey, wait a minute. They wasn't even on the property. Somebody would have sit there and said, they had bullhorns and screaming and yelling, sure, but they wasn't impeding anybody going into the church. But y'all didn't do that. You know why? Because you took what they said and you ran with it. And I can understand, because if you're never out in the streets, if you don't never see anything happen, if you don't know how things work, that's what you do. The difference between me and you, most of the time when this stuff's going down, I'm out there. I'm right there. I've been there. I see it with my own eyes, so I can tell you something different. When you don't see it with your own eyes and you just go off what somebody's telling you, you get half of the story. And what do I have to do? Come and tell you the rest of the story. That's what happened today. The judge let this woman go because there was no reason. She didn't break the law. She didn't do anything wrong. They tried to violate her constitutional right to protest on public grounds. Not private, public. They tried to violate because they was hurt because she had a bullhorn in her hand and she was screaming and yelling. They tried to get this woman on noise ordinance on a Sunday. Anything that they could pull out of the hat, the rabbit's hat, they tried. And they tried to violate her. Now, listen, like I said, when it comes to the Constitution, I'm all about it. I'm about, if you want to protest, protest. If you want to carry, carry. If you want to remain silent, remain silent. Don't step on the Constitution. Just don't do it. Because the minute you do, you take that away from me. And Lord knows as a black man, I need my Constitution in every way, shape, or form. I don't play with that, man. And I'm not gonna let some church who gets hurt because somebody is protesting them. Now, watch this here. What and another thing they don't ever tell you. Alpha News is not gonna do this here. Right? If let's say ICE would have came here, and that's what they was protesting. They was still, so for those who don't know, one of the pastors or something of this church was a field op for ICE. That's why they went there the first time. And they've been protesting. And here's the thing. They protest his church on Sundays. They've been doing this off and on. Right? So the only reason you're hearing about it now is because this woman got arrested. If she would have never got arrested, guess what? Alpha News didn't say a word about them being out there protesting at church, did they? No. You know why? Because that part wasn't important. Because that part wasn't newsworthy at all. At all. So why would they bring you something they don't feel that you're gonna be part of a clickbait for? But they have been out there on Sundays protesting this man's church because he's an ICE op. You understand? So they go out and they protest this church because the man was working with ICE. But why is everybody keep protesting ICE? Why do we forget all the time? If ICE had to come here, now remember now, when ICE first came to the Twin Cities, when they first landed here, when we heard that they were in the Twin Cities, when they said they was down there in Little Mogadishu, when they was down there in Cedar, who said something? The news were reporting that ICE was down there getting these people who wasn't supposed to be here, getting these people who was doing wrong and all this here, and nobody said a word because they did exactly what they were supposed to when they first got here. Y'all keep forgetting this part. When did people start protesting and then going after ICE, following ICE? When ICE realized that they could not do anything with the Somali community because half of those people down there are citizens, they couldn't deport them. They couldn't hold them for long, correct? This is exactly what happened. You're not going to get this here from Alpha News. Alpha ain't going to tell you this. Alpha is not going to call Rev in and go, hey, Rev, we got a question for you. Can you explain this? Because this is part that they don't want you to know. They don't want this. This is the rest of the story. This is what happened on the ground. This is what happened on the ground. So when they realized that we can't touch these Somalis, what did they do? What did ICE do? Hello, somebody. They started going after the Latino community, the very community that helped them get into office. ICE had to leave here with something. They had to leave here with somebody. They couldn't just show up and leave here with nothing. They got what? 2 or 3 Somalis? That's it, people. Look it up for yourself. I wish Alpha News had the balls to do an investigation on how many Somalis were deported from the state of Minnesota. I wish they would have the balls to do that, but they won't. You know why? Because it's not going to be the number that y'all want. Now, if ICE had gotten out of here probably about even 500 Somalis, Alpha News would have been all over that. We would have had a story every single day. And when Nick came here, oh my God, that didn't happen. They didn't get the numbers, and they couldn't get the numbers that they want because half of these people are what? Citizens, people. So they turned on the Latino community. I know, I can tell you that because I deliver. I had a mayor come to me. I had to sit down with a mayor, and mayor was like, hey, look, Rev, I'm having problems. And what can I do? I helped drop off boxes of food to these people who would not open the door for white people. They were afraid of white people. They were thinking, because ICE was literally, y'all don't understand, and this is what I'm trying to make you. ICE were literally grabbing people when they opened their door. So these people wouldn't open their door. And we didn't see this coming. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw it coming. Especially the Latino community had no clue. Next thing you know, their family members just started disappearing. And they're like, where is blah, blah, blah? That's how they knew that ICE was taking Latinos. Because they was churches was looking for them. The one of the largest Mexican churches, Victor's church, Pastor Victor. I'm on the phone with him in Minneapolis, listening to him saying, our people are just disappearing, man. Well, what's going on? We don't know yet. They come to find out, ICE was taking these people. That's when all hell broke loose. That's when people started getting the whistles, right? That's when you start seeing people marching. That's when you start seeing people showing up at the Whipple building. That's when you start seeing people driving by, finding out who ICE was, driving behind them, getting there. That's when all of that stuff started happening, people. If ICE had came here and done exactly what they said they were going to do and left, none of this stuff would have been going on. None of this stuff wouldn't have been happening. They wouldn't have been talking about putting aside millions of dollars to help some of these people who didn't work for 3 months, whose landlord is about to kick them out. That money isn't going to Somalis. That money is going to the Latino community, which ICE went through the community and ravaged them like crazy. They even got like the whole situation that happened down in North Minneapolis when they went and chased that Guatemalan down and his brother. And then ICE lied. They literally, I even posted it on my Get Up. They told a lie. We all knew it was a lie. The same people who literally left a vehicle. They left an ICE vehicle with a gun in it sitting in North Minneapolis. That's what they did. They tried everything they possibly could do to get black folks into that whole situation. And that was the last thing that they could do. They left a vehicle in North Minneapolis, of all places. And that vehicle had a gun in it. That wasn't right. Alpha News didn't really run a report. How are you as a police gonna leave a gun in a vehicle in the worst part of the neighborhood ever? Do the math, people. Come on. Stop it. These are the type of things that I tell you. Try to make you guys understand to see exactly how this stuff works. To see exactly how this stuff works. That happened right here. So they wouldn't have been in the churches if ICE had came here and done what they said they were going to do. They wouldn't be protesting the churches if ICE had came here and said and done what they said they were going to do. You wouldn't have a dead white woman and a dead white man if ICE had came to the Twin Cities. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to tell the rest of the story. That's a fact, and y'all know it is. You know it is. But you're not going to hear that from these right-wing influencers. Alpha News is not going to tell you that. They won't. Because they know you don't really want the truth. You don't, people. You don't. That's the only reason y'all come here every once in a while, right? I'm sure Rev's going to tell us the truth. Let's go hear that for a minute. And then we're going to go back over here to where they telling us what we want to hear. It may not be truth, but we want to hear it. Come on, people. That's why we're in the situations that we're in half of the time. It's why we're in the situations that we're in half of the time, because we can't do right by each other. I can show you. Hold on. Watch this. I can show you exactly what I'm talking about when I sit here and I say, you only want what you want. You don't want the truth. So your president put out a video. This happened. So he puts this video out of the Somali community in the Mall of America. And all of these top right-wing influencers grabbed it. As if that is happening, that video happened today, right now. But here's the thing about it. I go on to the video, and some of the what's that dude? Kevin, whoever his name, Kevin something. Y'all love him to death. He was like a B-lister movie star. So I go and I'm reading some of the comments, and people from here, from Minnesota, is going along with this. Instead of going, that video was like years ago. It's called an Eid, right? Once a year, Mall of America turns into Somaliland. Once a year. All of them Somalis go down there, and they use one of the courts, and that's where they have all. But the rest of them all is everybody else. They never show the rest of them all. You know how, if you've ever been to Mall of America, you know how big it is. You know how big that courtyard is, where they have all the performances, all of that. That's where they are. But the rest of them all, black people, white people, Mexican people, everybody's walking around. They didn't show that part. Only part they showed was this festival that happens once a year in the Somali community, like when I tell you what, when they have the little gymnastic competition that they have there, go down there and show all the white people. Do the same thing when they have that little gymnastic competition, and that place is packed full of white people. Go down there and do the same thing, because that's what it is. But President Trump put it out there like that happened today. This every day, Mall of America looks like that. Nobody corrected him, and nobody corrected this failed actor who put it out there, who also tweeted it. Correct? Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody said, hey, this is once a year, and this here video you're showing right now, this is 4 years old. Nobody said that. You know why? Because that's what you wanted to run with. That's what you needed. I keep telling you. Twitter, when ever since Elon Musk got his hands on Twitter, I remember when Twitter was a place that people talked about things, place that you could actually come. You didn't know something was happening, you can go to Twitter and find it out. Ever since Elon Musk got his hands on this platform, it is the worst. No, it is the. I went over on True Social for a minute. I couldn't do that. I could. Oh my God, that's. But Twitter has turned into something that it's just unbelievable. But that's what happened today, man. And nobody is speaking truth to power. Nobody. Nobody's hearing it. Nobody's listening to it. And that's why these politicians, think about it. That's why these politicians can get away with murder. Because they know you're not going to look into what they're doing. They know you're not going to try to understand. They know you're not going to challenge them and push them. You're just going to go in there and talk about them and call them names. You're not going to push them on their policies. You're not going to push them on the things that they're doing up there, whether it's in Washington or in the Capitol there in Minnesota here. You're not. And they know that. So they can lie to us. If y'all think, hold on. If y'all in any way, shape, or form, and I don't, and I gotta be honest with you. I believe people who hang out with me is smart enough to realize and understand that we are getting jerked around by our politicians. Correct? I believe that. I believe the people who hang out with me realize and understand that there's things that's just not true sometimes. I'm just saying what I believe right now. Because if y'all don't think that these you wonder why the Democrats got so much money. How in the world do this party have as much money? Democrats got boatloads of money. Boatloads of money. And if y'all sit there and say to yourself, well, I don't know how they got that. I don't know how they got all that money. You lying. You know how they got that money. They got that money on all these kickbacks from all this fraud. If y'all think just the Somali community is responsible for $9 to $12 to $13 billion, you out your mind. You're crazy. You're doing this crazy thing again. I challenge Alpha News. I challenge them. Y'all want the truth? Let's challenge them to give us the truth. I challenge them to go into these nonprofits. Go into you know what? I challenge you, Alpha News, to go and look into the black church. The black church that are getting government money. Any black church that is getting government money, I dare you, Alpha News, to look into it. This is something that I've been talking about for years, and nobody wants to do it. You know why? Because somebody's going to say that they racist. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to fold like a Republican. That's the no, come on. The reason the fraud went as far as it did is because the Somali community called the Republican Party racist. And the Republican Party put their tail between their legs and they ran. That's exactly what happened, people. That's the truth. What's her name? I'm trying to think of the representative name. It's a female. They called her racist. They called her racist a couple of years ago, and she stopped talking about it. She's a Republican, white woman. They called her racist. The Somali community did, and she literally stopped talking about it. This is way before what's going on right now. This is way before J.D. Vance talking about being the guru, the fraud guru. This is way before Nick Shirley came here. This is way before the finance committee. Well, this is during the finance committee the Republicans put together. Right? They call her racist, and boop, from that point on, Republicans went, and you didn't hear anything else about it. So if Alpha News really call themselves being news, investigating, reporting, instead of giving you guys crap, which that story that they just gave you about the lady being arrested was crap. Unless they were going to turn around and go, well, hey, here's the rest of the story. Here is what happened, and here's why she got off. But they can't do that. Why? Because that's not what you guys want. And they know that. I suggest, if they want to know about the fraud, if they want to break news on fraud, go look at a couple of them black churches that's getting grant money and being funded for this and fund. Go do that. But again, they won't, because the minute it happens, they're gonna go, oh, you're a racist, and then Alpha News is gonna be like, period, man. Period. We got the and again, and people, and one of the things that I've always said to people is the reason why you all need rocks and cows. People live out in the suburbs. People live out in the sticks or wherever else you call it. For years, one of the things that I've been saying is you have to pay attention. Listen to me. You have to pay attention to the politics that's going on in Minneapolis and St. Paul. You have to. You can't just sit back and go, oh, well, nothing's important that happens outside my community. That's just a lie, people. Listen to what I'm saying here. And I'm going to show you exactly why it's important for you to start paying attention to these knuckleheads. Liz Collins shocked me, but watch this. She had a Democrat woman on her show. She did an interview with this Democratic woman, correct? I don't know if you all seen this. If you didn't see it, go look up Liz Collins, even though she blocked me. Yeah, Liz blocked me because she got mad at me because of what I said about fall of Minneapolis. And she blocked me because of that. She's supposed to be a journalist, but she can't take the heat. But anyway, go look up Liz Collins and this lady, this Democrat lady, who is now bitching and moaning because of the socialists. Huh? So when black folks was talking about this, right? When black folks were sitting here going, no, you Democrats, you white liberal Democrats, and it was mainly white liberal women that was doing this, bringing all of these people in and then just jumping over us. Like we don't even matter anymore. This is what they did. And they let the socialists, they moved black people out of the way. And they put the socialists at the table. That's what they did. So this woman that Liz Collins is now interviewing is moaning and bitching about, oh my God, I can't believe the socialists. Bull, y'all put them at the table. The white liberal woman put these socialists at the table. Then they turn around and try to put us all together. Well, let's call them, because we didn't come up with no BIPOC. That's the black pope. Black folks has never, you ain't never heard us call ourselves BIPOC. You know who did? The white liberal woman. So now we're all in the same boat. All of us, everybody's a Negro. There's a Negro there, and a Negro there, and there's a Negro, here's a Negro, everywhere a Negro. All of us. Don't matter where you came from. Doesn't matter. You got dark skin, you's a Negro. So why don't we just call them BIPOC? That's what these white liberal women did. These Democratic, that's what they did, right? And all the while, the socialists are sitting, literally getting one after the other on that city council. Almost to the point, listen to me. They already took over Duluth. The socialists own Duluth. They own Duluth. They're next. If the black people hadn't saved Mayor Fry's job, and we did, because we showed up. Socialists would have took over Minneapolis. Literally. Took it over. And there would have been nothing anybody could do. Because there's a group of people that is dying, clamoring to get their hands on that city. And the next election, they're going to come tenfold at us. Minneapolis cannot turn into an Edina. Minneapolis can't turn into a St. Louis Park. Minneapolis can't turn into a Golden Valley. That's the game, people. And if y'all don't get your heads out of the sand and start saying, I care about what goes on down there. I care about that city. There's not much I can do, but I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something to my legislator to tell them to start looking and reporting. Because if you don't, and if that city gets turned over to the socialists, we are in some trouble, people. You don't understand what I'm saying here yet. St. Cloud. They're going after St. Cloud. They are going after St. Cloud. Look, what I want you guys to do is look into like the school board. Look into little areas, little boards, and see who's on those. Look at the little board, because they're working their way up, people. I'm telling you right now, man. I'm telling you right now. And you know who allowed this to happen? You know who? There was supposed to have been a black man. True story. There was supposed to have been a black man running for the 5th district that should have been in Washington. The white liberal decided that, no, we need an immigrant, we need a woman, and she needs to be of a different color. And the white liberal, to this day, supports Ilhan Omar. To this day. And all the other ones that are about to be on boards or about to be part of something or gets a seat, whether it's a library. Seriously, the white liberal woman done this. And then she's going to get on Liz's podcast and bitch and moan about what they did. They did this. Them socialists that are taking over right now, that's on the city council. So watch this here. HCMC is literally on the brink of closing. I would think that the city council would care more about that. Not that people from Cuba is not important. Everybody's important. Don't get me wrong. But the number one trauma, when you're up north or you're in Zimmerman and your grandkid or kid is riding an ATV and that ATV flips over and your kid is laying up under that ATV and they call in a helicopter, where is that helicopter going? No. Where is it going? More than likely HCMC. Because HCMC basically bring people back to life. Correct? Somebody ice fishing and you fall through the ice and your body's frozen and they have to helicopter you in. Where you going? You're going to HCMC. You get in a car accident. Body mangled. People in there, your car, man. Where you going? You're going to HCMC. Am I making myself clear? But the Minneapolis City Council are fighting over Cuba. Are y'all following me here? These idiots literally are acting. Listen to me. I made myself very clear. I said, if you put them activists on that city council, hell is going to break loose. You have activists on the city council. And their mindset isn't about that city. That mindset isn't about the number one trauma hospital in the state of Minnesota. But see, it's not going to affect you until Grandpa is having a heart attack. Grandpa is having a stroke. And they got to medevac him to a trauma center. And all of a sudden, they said, we gotta fly him all the way to Duluth. We got to fly him all the way to Rochester. Why? Because we don't have that trauma type unit anymore in Minneapolis. That's why it's important that no matter if you live in Rocks and Cows, you have to always keep an eye on what's going on. You need to go to your senator, go to your state rep, and tell them that it is important that they get their head out of the sand and start taking a look in every once in a while what them idiots, what them activists, what them agitators are doing in Minneapolis. Because unlike you, I told you guys I was going to show you something. I don't know if I can show you this or not. But I tell you guys all the time, because HCMC is very, very important to me, right? Because if HCMC is not there, I don't get a kidney. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm going to show you a bill. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm going to show you a bill. I don't know if you're going to... it probably won't come out. I don't care if you see my name. I don't give a damn. But you can see my name. Hold up. This is my kidney bill. See the charges? If it'd come out right. But it won't. But this is my bill. I always tell you guys. I said, hey, 800. That's a month. This is one bill. This is one bill. One bill. $820. One bill that we get. That's just one. If I brought all of mine, if I brought all of my if I brought all of my bills down to that we have to pay a month for my kidney dialysis, you'd be like, wow, that is unbelievable. But that's just one bill. That's my one doctor that I have to see this doctor. I have to see this doctor once every single month. And then I have to go to this very same place and get my labs done every single month. This isn't even on top of the pills that I have to take every single day. That adds up at the end of the month. So it's very important, because if I have to go, because they closed Abbott again, they closed Abbott. I left Abbott. I left their kidney transplant center, went over to HCMC. And now HCMC is talking about closing. If HCMC closes, and again, I say this, and I have to go to an out-of-network, if y'all understand what I'm saying, listen to what I'm saying. If I have to go to an out-of-network, that $800 that we pay a month will double. No joke. No joke. So we're in trouble, people. We're in some serious, serious trouble here in the state of Minnesota. The Democratic Party sat back where billions of dollars left this state. And we get nothing for it. Our tax dollars is gone. Never going to come back. They're not going to recoup any of that money. Other than the houses, other than the cars, sure. The jewelry, that's about it. If they bought horses, or I don't know, I'm not sure. But all of that happened under our watch. Now, we can sit here and go, well, we didn't know what was. No, we knew, people. We saw it. We heard it. I heard it. I hear millions and millions and millions and millions upon millions of dollars being dumped into North Minneapolis and St. Paul for these nonprofit organizations, and nothing ever. They just had what 112, 13, 14, 20 kids over in Crystal. Y'all hear about that? All them kids that was over there in Crystal and the havoc that they was wreaking over there. That's just, they were just getting ready for the summer. No, we watched this happen, man. We did. And nobody did anything. And then for the people who was screaming the loudest, they did everything to shut us up. Everything. The people who were screaming the loudest, they did everything they possibly could do to shut us up. And the sad part, the more we screamed, the less people listened, the less people heard the things that we had to say, that we showed you, that we put you on the road to seeing. And here we are. They're going to start closing some of these little small hospitals down. In little clinics in your area. And you got to drive a lot farther to get to a hospital or to get to a clinic or aftercare hours. But you were able to do this because some of us was asleep at the wheel. Period. I just need a couple people to wake up. I need a couple of people to say, you know what? This state is important. What do we do to actually save this state? Because if not, people, we are going to be in a world of hurt. My grandkids are not going to have the opportunity to live in this state the way that we all are. Your grandkids are not. These Democrats have set off a bomb. And the way they've been doing things and putting certain people in certain areas. I'm just saying, people. I'm just saying, we've got a choice, man. We can either stop hating on each other and start realizing that we need to come together to pull this stuff down, to stop this stuff and all these things that are happening here in this state. If not, again, we're going to be in trouble. We've got to start getting to the point where we're saying, I understand. I want the truth. Don't give me the top and not give me the rest of the story. Anyway, am I done? Oh, 10 minutes over. I thought I had it down to a science that I was gonna. I wasn't supposed to be here today. I was supposed to be at baseball practice, but it's really, really cold outside, and I can't go outside in a cold right now. I can't get colds because I don't have an immune system that can actually fight off a cold. Somebody said something. Immigration is a federal over state, controlled by Constitution and Congress. Action laws. Expel deportation will have no justice action or due process. CBP and the police have been. Well, the police. In the state of Minnesota. I don't know if you're from Minnesota, Cindy, but the police is not going to actually cooperate with ICE because, we're a sanctuary state. So if that's what you're talking about, so that's not going to happen. It says these judges have no authority to tell police to break the law. Now, this judge is breaking it also. Sanctuary cities break every federal, wait a minute, what did she say? Break every federal immigration law. Obama had 3 illegals deported millions, 58 shot, 38 dead, all of them without judicial. See, and Cindy, let me say something about the Obama thing, right? And the Joe Biden thing. Let me ask you a question, Cindy. Now that you said it, you bring Obama up. What didn't you see during Obama years that you see now with Trump? What did you didn't see with Biden years? You know why? Because they did it at the border. You understand? And then the ones that they did get, they got out of jail. You didn't see them disappearing people. Obama didn't do that. Obama deported people who were in jail. Obama deported people who came at that border, and he booted them back out. This dude put out about millions of people. Obama was the deportee king. He deported so many people. But here's the deal. You didn't see it, right? You didn't see it. We didn't get the show that Trump has been putting on for us. We didn't need to see that. They didn't need to do what they did here. Period. I know that and they know that. And then here's the bad part about it. A lot of the people that went down to the Whipple building, the angels of I forgot the name of the name of that group that were down there waiting for people to get out to give them a ride home, to give them, put blankets over them and the whole nine. There was a lot of people that they took back to their homes after they went down to the Whipple building. That's another thing I would like for Alpha News to do. Why don't you do a story on all of those people that were let go? So that's the difference. We didn't see it with Obama. We didn't see it with Joe Biden. Like you said here, you said Clinton deported 12 million. You said 12 million? You said 56 was shot, 30 was dead under Obama? Yeah, but we didn't see them dying. We didn't see that. We didn't see the 56 shot. We didn't see that. That's why nobody made any noise. But when you come here and you do what was done, and that's what I realize what people are saying. I understand. Those MAGAs, that's what I voted for. No, I don't even think you even voted for what ICE did when they went into the Latino community. Don't sit there and no, because like I said before, I'm going out to Elk River. I'm going out to the potato farm. I want to see how many white folks are out there working in that field. I'm dying to get out there this year because I want to see that, because that's what you were saying. You didn't want these people here. I want to see how many white folks are out there working in that field. I guarantee you there won't be any out there. I guarantee it. I don't know who's going to be out there picking them potatoes, but it's sure in the hell not going to be black folks. That ain't happening. But Cindy, what I can tell you is if they would have came in here and done exactly what they said they were going to do, exactly, we would not be in this position. I can guarantee you that. Because when they first got here, nobody said a damn thing. They was going through, they was all up and down looking for them Somalis. Nobody said nothing. Everybody was sitting back because black folks was like, we ain't see dang on thing. That's why y'all haven't seen us. We ain't been doing nothing. As I told you, the only reason I go out is that if I see somebody black, I tell them to go home. This isn't for us right now. This isn't what we need to be doing. So go home. That's why we haven't been out, because it's just, this isn't our time. This what was going on isn't for us. We've already been through what you saw ICE do in the Latino community. They'd already done that in the black community. We've seen that with the Jump Out Boys, with the gang task force, with some of everything. DEA, DEI, whatever you want to call it. They all done been through the black community. Because we were sitting there going, holy smoke, that looked like last year when they came through, North Loop looking for black people, being over there to clearing all the black people out of the North Loop. That's what that looked like to me. So that's not new to us. But I'm going to say it again, and I know y'all hate hearing it. Again, if ICE had to come here and did exactly what they said they was going to do, we wouldn't be where we're at. Things wouldn't be going down the way that they did. Truly, man. Those are facts. Those are facts. So we'll see if Alpha News take me up on them actually doing newsworthy work. Because like I said before, that judge let that lady go. Why? Because she didn't do nothing wrong. You can't take a constitutional right, and because something you do hurts your feelings, and turn that constitutional right into a crime. You just can't do it. No, you can't do it, people. No matter how much you hate it, no matter how much it just irks you to let these here radical people get away with what they're doing. That was the reason why the Constitution was pretty much put up there. Because they knew radical people needed to be protected from people who get their feelings hurt. That's why she didn't do anything wrong. That's why. And here's the thing that gets me. And y'all need to y'all don't understand something. Anytime y'all make a big deal, what Alpha News did here, anytime y'all make a big deal about these people, you just turn them into martyrs. This woman had all these people outside of the jail waiting for her to get out. This woman is now a hero. Y'all made this. No, you did, because of the way that you did this. This is what I'm telling. It's what I'm telling Alpha News. They need to stop. Don't print. You got something else to say about? Don't print nothing until you call me. Y'all got my number. I know you still got my number. Don't act like you don't. Y'all need to call me and say, hey, Rev, if we print this, what's going to happen? And then I can tell you what's going to happen. But y'all just made this woman a martyr in the community. She's a hero now for getting arrested. She walked out. She put the fist up. When she put the fist up, I was like, that's it. That's it. She put that fist up. She's like, done. She marked her ticket. Now, next Sunday, she's going to be right back out there. And then now she's going to dare them. She will dare them to touch her. Dare you. I dare you to touch me. There's nothing you can do. She'll have a bigger bullhorn. She's going to be just as loud as she was before. I dare you to touch her. You can't touch her now. Cannot touch this woman. And y'all did this by making a big deal out of it, by not telling the rest of the story. Hey, fam, y'all have a good night. I appreciate you guys. I probably will not be here Wednesday. And maybe, I will be here Friday because I know we got practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I more than likely will be here Friday. And then we'll go from there. But y'all have a good night. Peace, you all. I appreciate you very, very much. I hope everybody had an awesome Easter. I hope everybody had an awesome Easter. Y'all ate really, really good. And everybody had I only get deviled eggs. I get deviled eggs twice a year. I get deviled eggs on Easter, and then I get deviled eggs on Christmas. Because my wife makes some awesome deviled eggs. So I went deviled egg crazy on yesterday because she made overabundance of what we needed. So I was able to eat as many as I wanted to. But anyway, y'all have a good night. We will see you guys later on. All right. What did Mark say? Mark said, I think a lot of stuff come back to ranked choice voting. Candidates should be screened. Those who want to get rid of the ranked choice vote. Thank you. That ranked that's something somehow, some way, Mark. That ranked choice voting, we've got to get rid of that. I mean, it's asinine. But here's the thing, though. What some of these socialists have done, they act like they were Democrats, right? This is what they did. They act like, Mark, that they was Democrats. And then once they got those seats, then they start going, oh, ha, look at us. Democratic socialists. That Sorensen cat, the one that got his eye shot out, that's sitting on the council now, he came out. Now he was with Dwayne. He was with Hampton. He was with Ilmar. What's his name? The dude that was, you know who I'm talking about. He was with that one little girl that start crying the other day because they said, she goes, they were bullying me. She's the one, those socialists. You know all the socialists that's on that damn board. You know them, all of them. And then Jamal Osborne, he's a socialist. He just don't want to say it. But when they vote, he will vote. He's always going to be that swing vote. And he's always going to vote with the socialists. But yeah, you're right, Mark. That ranked choice voting, got to get rid of that crap. That is probably some of the worst. That's one of the reasons why Minneapolis is where it's at today. Period, point blank, bro. You're right on that. But anyway, y'all, I am done on today. I appreciate you. I need to answer something else for somebody else. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. I'm all done. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night. Peace. And I'm out.